have 7:30,
That's strange.
so I can call the meeting to order. And I'll have Mike Spouts vote for Tiffany, unless she shows up.
Okay.
First up is Southgate subdivision.
Good evening. Just for the record, I'm Jeff Merritt. I'm an engineer with Granite Engineering. We're the civil site engineers for the project. This is John Wickert, also with Granite Engineering. John's an engineer. I think we have some plans that we'll share with you on the screen there. Maybe the colored one first. Let's see.
Sorry.
Yep, that's it, I think. Whoops, it's all right. There it is. I put some color to it just because it helps. First, I think at least some of the board members may recall this property and project. We were here, I think 2 times last year in 2023 to talk about the project. And at the time it was kind of similar to this, and with the difference being that it was a proposed open space subdivision. And we ran into some hurdles at the local and the state level. And we weren't able to make the open space subdivision work. So we had to go back to the design, and we've pivoted kind of to a conventional subdivision. And you'll see some of the elements are still the same, but it goes from an open space to a conventional. This is property at 116 South Road. It's undeveloped today. It's about 37 acres in total. We are in the agricultural residential district. We have a lot of roadway frontage on South Road, which is at the top of the sheet there. It's about 1,800 feet of frontage, so there's a lot of roadway frontage as it exists today. We did have the property checked for wetlands, and they were delineated and then surveyed. To the southeast is Beaver Brook, and then we have a wetland complex that runs along the south and the eastern property line that are kind of the fringe wetlands from Beaver Brook. And then interior to the property, there's a few kind of isolated pockets, if you will, that are fully on the property. The rest of the property, though, is upland, pretty good gravel soils in the rest of the property. This property also abuts some town and private conservation land. So across the road is 57 acres. Let me see if I can get oops. Which one's the
I think
pointer?
that was working.
Is it the
the
middle
top one?
Top?
I think the top one. There you go.
There we
Yeah.
go. So across the road, there's 57 acres the town owns. To the southeast, kind of down on the sheet over here, is a pocket of conservation land. It's about 3 acres. And then to the northeast, on this side over here, is some land that is owned by the state of New Hampshire. That is conservation as well. So it abuts an area of conservation. This project, the revised project here, proposes 16 residential lots. It's comprised of 5 lots off of South Road. So if you look at the top of the sheet,
Top button.
sorry,
Yeah, there you go.
get it by the end of it. Up here, these are frontage lots right off of South Road, and then there's one more over here. So there's 5 frontage lots that come right off of South Road, and then the balance, the other 11 lots, would front on 2 new roadways, and kind of shown those in gray. The first one is Southgate Drive, and that comes off of South Road. That's about 750 feet, and then there's Westgate Drive, which is about 530 feet. And these, of course, would be new town roadways. We're also proposing 1 conservation lot, and for those of you that do remember the project, there was, at least the commission had expressed some interest in kind of a conservation lot that we didn't have any use for, so we're still proposing that, and that's that blue area that I've shown on the plan there. That would be roughly 8 acres. We obviously still have to go through final review and everything like that, so it could change slightly, but it would be in and around the neighborhood of 8 acres. That, of course, is contiguous with the state of New Hampshire land there to the northeast. And then we'd propose to deed this over to the Conservation Commission. We did prepare some draft deed and deed language that we brought, and we thought we'd distribute that to the commission tonight so you can take it with you and review it. We do not have any wetland impacts. That's similar to last project. There are no direct wetland impacts here. We also maintain the 100-foot buffer from the wetlands along Beaver Brook. The interior wetlands, or those isolated pockets that I mentioned, some of those aren't large enough to require a buffer under the ordinance, but we have shown that buffer on the plan. So we've taken the liberty to add the buffer even though one's not required. And then we've also shown, or stated the requirement on there to have the conservation plaques placed at the buffers on all the wetlands there at intervals of 50 feet. So that's in the plan set as well. In terms of stormwater, it's very similar to what we had for the first project. There is a main stormwater pond that's going to be right here on this bigger lot, and that takes the flow from both roadways. And then there's a second stormwater pond that is right up here, and I'll flip to another sheet eventually and show you a little bit more about that. So the bigger stormwater pond down here, that's the main treatment area. That's an infiltration pond, and it will meet or exceed local standards as well as the state standards. The other pond is a detention pond, and if we can flip one sheet, Mike, I don't know if I can do that, or no, I guess you have to. So this is a zoomed-in version of kind of that other stormwater pond, and again, some of you may remember this from the prior meetings. This pond does a few things. One is it takes some runoff from the 4 lots that front on South Road. But more importantly, it is something that DPW had asked us to do. Right now, the abutting community, or the abutting development to us is Timber. I believe it's is it Timber Street, John? What's the name of that? Timber Street. They have some flooding issues, some historic flooding issues. Likely not the result of our property. It's kind of some of their own stuff going on, but John Trottier with DPW had asked us to see if we could redirect stormwater that was once going there elsewhere. And so that's kind of what this design does. It a little bit for us and a little bit to help our neighbors to the side of us there. And then last time I think we presented the board for us to be able to do this and to outlet it in a different direction, the stormwater pond that is. We need to get into the buffer a little bit. So that green area that's hatched there, that is some work within the buffer on our, the wetland that's on our property. That's 1,608 square feet of buffer impact. And again, that would be to be able to outlet this stormwater to that direction versus towards the abutters that have some historical flooding issues. And then go back maybe to the other one. Leave you on this one. In terms of state permits, the same as last time. We still need an alteration of terrain permit, and that's pending with the state. And then ultimately, we need state subdivision approval as well. So that's the project. That's the updated version. John passed out the example deed or proposed deed there. You can certainly take that and review it. And I'm assuming the commission's still interested in that blue lot. And if so, then the applicant still be willing to deed that over.
Madam Chair, I have a question. Are you planning on putting the conservation signs around those small wetlands or not?
Yeah.
Okay, my question is on lot 57-5, where is that big enough for a house?
It is.
Well, it's hard to figure the scale.
Yeah,
I can only
and
see
the
parts of this.
scale on this plan is a little deceiving because it's such a big property. 57.5, let me just make sure I know which one
It's
that,
right on the,
oh yeah, that one's plenty big, yep. Yeah,
So-
this one up here, you mean? Oops, hang on.
well, it's on the circle. No, go left. It's the one that's on the circle. Just north of the proposed Westgate Drive written there. Just looks, it's 57.5.
Oh, this one, yeah,
Oh, well,
this one
okay,
right
sorry
here?
about that.
Yes.
Sorry about that. It's the
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah. Yep.
That just looks so cramped.
You know, it's just the scale, and you can kind of figure out scale a little bit based on the buffer there. 50 feet
Oh, that's
is,
true.
you know what I mean? Like 50 feet's longer than a house, and you have more
But
than
there's
that.
still not a lot of space for them to expand and play and yada, yada, yada.
Like I said, I think there's more room than you kind of realize once you put a house in there and you figure it all.
I don't-
But
It's not, yeah.
and again, like we wouldn't have, I think, proposed the additional buffers if we couldn't give them. But I think we can, and I think there's enough room. Like I said, the scale of the plan is a little deceiving.
So I'm seeing 2 vernal pools, and you've got a buffer drawn there, but are you going to enforce that buffer in any way?
So it would be plaqued with the same signs that we would do around the other perimeter.
Because your plan says the plaques are gonna be at the edge of the vernal pool.
And that's what the commission had asked us to do last time.
Right at the edge of the pool,
That-
not the edge of the buffer? What's the point?
I think that's what the commission had asked last time.
Ooh.
Would you rather it
Doesn't
at the
sound
buffer?
like something we would do.
That is contrary to anybody's recollection, I think it's
Okay.
safe to say.
I don't think we have an issue putting it at the buffer line. That's
Because
fine.
the idea is to protect the pool,
Yep.
because if somebody mows right up to it, then say goodbye to the pool.
Sure. That's a good comment. We're happy to move it. That's fine. I suspect we misheard last time, because I think we've had it on the plan that way since
All right,
round
yeah,
one. but-
it would be better at the edge of the
Yep.
buffer.
And you are planning on putting the conservation plaques along the entire buffer?
Right, that's how it's proposed.
Doesn't show anywhere on the plan.
So it does, if you thumb through the plan set, we actually show the sign symbols and have call-outs in the different sheets that have a zoomed-in version. If we put them on this plan, it's just, you wouldn't see them, is what it comes down to. The sign's just microscopic because of the scale.
The other comment I'll make on your construction scheduling, you have putting the signs in well after all the construction has disturbed everything. I think the conservation buffer signs should go in before the site's even cleared, to make sure that the people doing the clearing and stuff stay out of the buffer.
I think we could do that. I don't have any opposition to that. They usually GPS the location, so as long as there's not real significant tree cover, they should be able to go in there and GPS the locations and then set the plaques. I don't think the applicant would have an issue with that.
Anybody else?
I had a question. I wasn't there at the first discussion of this subdivision. What is your distance for the setbacks, the buffers?
To the wetlands?
Yeah.
So this wetland, so the big wetland right here, that kind of flows down to here, that's 100-foot setback,
Okay,
okay, to the big one. And then these smaller internal ones
yeah.
have a 50-foot buffer, including the ones that aren't big enough to require a buffer under the ordinance.
Yeah, because they mentioned the vernal pool. The building footprint goes into the wetland? I assume the circles are your building footprint of where you're gonna work the
No,
house?
no. Circles on this plan are the protective well radius. So it's
Oh, okay.
it's a line
There's
that you wouldn't see.
There's no
It-
public water there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I know, Mass, the final plans show.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it.
No, don't construe the circle as the development area. That's just a radius around the well that the state.
Okay, I
looks
get
for.
that, yeah.
On any of your plans, do you show the proposed location of the building?
No, we don't. No, what we have to do is we have to show a well that it can fit on the property, and then we also have to prove that there's an area on the site that you could build a septic. And then what happens is during development, if you were to buy a lot, say, then you would have the ability to kind of design your lot the way you want it, so keeping out of buffers and adhering to all the other rules, but,
Don't you need to have a 4K area though for each lot?
say that again?
Don't you need to have a 4K area for each lot?
You do, exactly. And those are shown actually on the subdivision plans. Or,
Page number?
yeah. Oh, here they are. If you look at the topographic subdivision plans, which you could see as, what sheet is this?
Sheet 13.
Just keep scrolling, I'll stop you. Keep going. Stop.
Starting there.
Yeah, keep going, one more maybe. Yeah, right there. See those rectangles? Right and left of the road? Those are 4K areas. And an actual septic's about, you know, a tenth of that size, but the state just looks for a general area that is suitable. You don't need a septic that size.
So the notes refer to both a stormwater maintenance and operations manual, and they refer to a stormwater pollution prevention plan. But it wasn't clear to me who is responsible for those. Is there gonna be a homeowners association?
All good questions. So, let's go back to that other overview plan, if you will. Okay, so 2 stormwater ponds, right? One down here, one over here. This one down here will likely be maintained by the town because it's associated with the town's drainage. This one up here is going to have to be maintained by an association. So there will have to be an association out here, albeit for limited reasons. And then in terms of the SWIP, so the SWIP is a little different. That is for during construction. And so stormwater pollution prevention plan is really geared towards how they build the site as opposed to how they maintain it long-term. So it's done at time of construction, and it focuses on, you know, the actual site contractor on, you know, where's the job trailer gonna be? Where are you doing stockpiling? You know, how are you refueling? That kind of stuff. So that's done at kind of time of construction. But the operation and maintenance of the stormwater ponds, yeah, there is a manual that goes with it. It's part of our stormwater report that gets reviewed by the town. And it's also required and enforced by the state of New Hampshire, the Alteration of Terrain Bureau. It's part of that permit.
So where will the file of those quarterly reports reside?
So the way it is, like the mechanism that creates the need for it is the state regulations. And so the state has a requirement that the owners, in this case it would be the homeowners association, is doing active maintenance and checking their ponds. And every so often, the state will actually do a checkup of it. But the reports themselves are supposed to be furnished to the state upon their request.
So I recommend that, when we get back to the planning board, that the plan specify who's responsible. And I would like to make sure John Trotter agrees with your expectation that he's gonna take care of the larger.
Yeah, that's fine, and that's a great comment. We are going through the design review process, and, you know, that conversation is ongoing. I know for a fact that this one up in this corner, because it doesn't take any town water, or excuse me, any roadway water, that it has to be a homeowners association. The one down here, my belief, at least today, is that it would be town maintained, but to your point, you know, we obviously have to get to the bottom of that. But either way, no matter who maintains it, it has to be maintained, put it that way. It's a requirement of the state permit.
Yeah, I don't doubt that it is, but my concern is what's gonna happen on the ground. So there'll be some kind of document that will be at the registry saying this homeowner association is created and it has these bylaws and these officers and their responsibility and all that.
And then within it, it typically states their need to maintain on-site stormwater facilities consistent with the stormwater maintenance plan and the AOT permit. That's usually how it's done.
So that's what I wanna see in this specific reference, that
Yeah.
we're gonna pin down who, that there will, first of all, there doesn't, and right now, they even says there will be a homeowners association.
Say that again.
I didn't come across anything saying there will be a homeowners association in the plan set. Maybe I missed it,
No, you didn't miss it. Nope.
so that somehow, that should be a matter of record.
Yep. And honestly, that's part of kind of the planning process. The stormwater, how it works, you know, whether an association or town maintain, that's all part of the DPW review and the town review. So that's just ongoing.
And then I looked for, what Gene was talking about, our, the conservation placards, along, and I know we've already covered the vernal pools, but what I saw was a note that said, you know, conservation placard along the wetland buffer or something like that. But what normally we'd like to see is dots or symbols of some kind, you know, and so that we can see, yep, it's every 52 feet per the ordinance.
And we're fine with that. I know we do have sign symbols on our plan. But if they're not, you know, the typical symbol that you want, then we can,
No, any symbol's fine, I just don't, I'm looking for the location of each of
maybe
those
I
signs.
can,
And I may have missed it, but,
yeah, let me flip to a sheet here, move it here. Sheet 24 maybe on the plan set. Maybe we can zoom in and show. That one will do, actually, go back up.
This one? Or,
No, keep going, I'm sorry. Right there. And then, so maybe you can zoom in. Zoom in like right in here, yeah. So there's a sign symbol next to the leaders here. I don't know if you guys can see. There you go.
yeah.
Yeah, it does kind of get eaten up by the line, but
Oh, yeah, there it is.
The intent's there, that's
they
for
are
sure.
there every
50 feet, yeah.
It's just, could be better.
You can make it a circle or something. Doesn't have to be a sign detail, if you will. But
all right, thank you, appreciate that.
Yep.
Have you had a conversation with Fish and Game about the conservation area next to their property?
we have, yeah.
And what was their reaction?
They asked for language, draft language, and we've sent them that. They didn't have any objection to the draft language. That review is kind of ongoing back and forth, so we don't have anything finalized with them. It's similar to the planning process where it takes some time to get through.
But it was basically this language that you sent them?
Yeah, it was basically that language.
So they're okay with the town holding this interest?
They didn't say no to it.
Did they express an interest in holding it themselves?
They did not. Would you rather they held it?
Well, I think that's something that maybe the commission
mean-
ought to discuss.
I don't know if they would or not, but if you didn't want to hold it, then we could ask, that's for sure. I think last year, the preference was that you guys held it, but maybe things have changed, or maybe I'm remembering incorrectly.
Well, we had an interest in land on the other side of South Road. And we were engaged with the state on that. I think that was, can't remember who was leading that effort, but on this side, it seems almost to me like it would make sense for that piece to belong to the, you know, to the, what we call the turtle habitat, which is why that is there in the first place. But I don't know, if they don't want it, then fine, you know, we would certainly.
The land that's owned by the state, is that have an easement held by Fish and Game or just the
It's
state?
just state-owned land.
That's owned by DOT, yeah.
Yeah, so Fish and Game isn't really involved in that one.
Right. The other thing too, Mike, is that we have that abutting little strip
Yeah, right.
right along the edge of this one. So
Yeah,
it effectively finally gives us
yeah. Access
road
to
frontage,
it.
access to
Yeah.
that little strip.
Yeah, right, right.
So I think we should
Accept it?
accept it, yeah.
Okay.
With the restrictions that they've got in here.
Are you looking for an answer on this tonight?
Nope.
Oh, okay, good.
Can we go to the plan, a part of it that shows the 4K area on that lot that Deb was concerned about?
Yeah.
Does setting aside that 4K area preclude using it for anything else, or is it
No.
just till you get decide
No.
where your septic's gonna be?
Let me, I can answer that. So it doesn't preclude you. What, all the state is after is just proving that the lot is buildable. That's it. It doesn't mean that the septic system actually has to go in that rectangle.
Oh,
It's simply a way to prove that it could be built on, not
Okay.
that you're going to. So like, I don't expect,
So the drainage and soils and
yeah,
everything
like
line up.
80% of the time, you don't, it ends up that you have to do another test pit because your septic's actually gonna go in a different spot. You know, you buy a house and you want it in this spot here, then we gotta go dig a test pit over here and do a septic there. So like, it's just to prove minimum buildable standards, and that's it. Yep. There could be like 20 different locations on site that would be suitable. It's just one is needed.
It still isn't showing that lot, though. We need to be down here just a little bit more.
It's right there.
Go. Okay. That ease your mind at all, Deb, looking at that?
It just depends on what the new owner wants for their property. It is almost it is over 2 acres.
Yeah, it's a big
I
one.
was looking at the square footage, not the number, but, so. I don't know, you just don't know what people are gonna decide they wanna do with what they have, and just, it looks like it fits.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of room. It's a big lot, and like I said, there's one developable pocket there on the corner, but there's also some, I guess, was that south or west? Yeah, south along Westgate Drive, because that lot actually has a bunch of frontage on Westgate Drive.
Could you confirm that the line that is demarking the limit of development, which is basically a no-cut line for a contractor, is as shown on these plans? You know, there's I haven't got the legend in front of me, but it's, you know, kind of typical one that we should, you know,
What sheet are you looking at?
any of them would, well, not all of them, I guess, but they, I haven't got it up right now, but in the close, I think it's in the close-ups of each part of the subdivision, not necessarily the ones with the topo on them. Maybe it is.
So usually we show the proposed tree line to coincide with the edge of grading associated with the roadways. It doesn't necessarily limit someone from further clearing if you bought the lot and you wanted your house in a different location. So what we show on the plan is more or less the minimum clearing that would be needed to like construct the project, the stormwater pond, that kind of stuff.
There was a note at the beginning that is what kind of threw me, and and it mentioned the limit of development, and that's what I was trying to figure out, is that line that I'm looking at, the tree line, is that?
No. The answer would be no. The tree line that we show on the plans is what's needed to construct the roadway. And the true limits of what would be clear would be really up to the homeowner. If someone wanted to put their house way out back, unlikely, but if they did, you know, they could do that.
Right.
They'd have to clear a little bit more.
Can I ask, I'm going back to the deed now, so if somebody has another question, they can chime in first.
Go ahead.
The deed refers to our zoning ordinance, and the portion on the conservation subdivision, but we're no longer doing a conservation subdivision.
Yeah.
So why did you retain that reference?
So we retain that reference because that has the language about protection in it. And so we're suggesting that that language be carried forward even. It's not that we're suggesting it's an open space subdivision, it's that the language in there on the protection would be applied.
I'm not sure if this is gonna be setting a trap in the future, because zoning ordinance could change, and I know you say as amended, but normally we could make this just be a absolute restriction, and with whatever words you wanna use. You could lift those words right out if you wanna do that, but not necessarily tie this deed to that ordinance, which
That's fine. We had to start somewhere with something for you guys to look at, so maybe
This paragraph.
we'll leave you guys the deed, and if you have, we'll take that comment, but if there's other comments too, we're happy to change it around. We looked up some other conservation deeds, and that's what our attorney put together for the initial review, but point taken.
okay, thank you.
Do we have
Soft copy?
a sample of something that we think would be a better fit?
It would just be a conveyance deed. I don't know if you guys have had a piece conveyed to you or purchased with conservation language in it, or if you just get the property
Several.
as is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So maybe you do. Maybe you have like an example you
You
could,
say, maybe we can just
Yeah.
find something that,
that would be easier than creating, trying to create the template.
Like the Roby Island gift, that might be an
okay?
example.
Which one did you
But-
mention?
It's, in the north of you on the Beaver Brook, there's an island in there that a family donated to the town.
Gotcha.
Any other comments on this? Yep.
I got questions. That land, the blue that you got up there next, is that next to DOT or is it next to Fish and Game Land?
It's listed as State of New Hampshire. So it's next to land owned by the state of New Hampshire.
Does Beaver Brook go through there?
Yes.
It does.
It's basically our northeast property line. And then,
So it drains, it must go under the road then?
Yep.
As
It
I've
does,
been-
Actually,
yeah.
a
There's a
tributary to
culvert.
Beaver
As I've
Brook.
been there, I was out there a while back. I'm not associated with this at all, but it would be, I know Beaver Brook, the main is on, it's also on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
Which is town land.
correct. It crosses under South Road.
And how much, can you I mean, I can't figure it out on this thing just looking, but how much land does the state own next to it?
The state owned to our northeast, I think was 24 acres. And then you guys, or the town, owns land south of us in the neighborhood of like 3 acres. So that blue area is actually contiguous, and I think Gene had mentioned that blue area is contiguous to the land that the town owns.
And the property across the street, I believe is Kindle? Is it Kindle?
Kendall Pond.
Kendall
Kendall
Pond
Pond.
Conservation
Kendall
Area.
Pond, okay. Yeah. I'm just trying to figure things, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that,
I'm just trying to figure out who would be the best steward of that particular.
Yeah.
Would it be us or the state? But it would then, if it's DOT, it would be maybe not a good steward. I don't know.
I put a
Fish
road
and
right
Game
there.
would be a good group to pull
I'm
in.
sure. I'm sure DOT owns land other places too.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they actively take conservation land if they're presented with the opportunity. I haven't experienced that. Same with Fish and Game. I don't think I've seen them request to be the stewards of it. I think they've acquiesce to, usually it's the community that wants to hold the interest, especially when it's contiguous to other land that they own.
In this case, it was the expansion of I-93, right, John?
Yeah, that's the, one of the DOT
Mitigation
piece is
parcel.
one of the mitigation sites for the wetlands impacts from 93.
Oh, interesting.
Is that exit 4A?
No, before that,
Predated that.
a
Widening,
long time before that.
widening, yes, from 2 to 4.
Any other comments, questions?
I think one more.
Okay,
On this here, you refer to it as a is it, maybe we're talking the same thing, conservation subdivision?
That's the same thing that Mike was
That's what
talking
Mike was
about.
asking.
Well, from my experience in Massachusetts, a conservation subdivision, when you refer to it, has to meet certain requirements.
that's why we
And
were
this
saying not to
subdivision does
use
not
it.
meet those requirements.
I mean, first off, it's not mass rules, but the intent was to capture the conservation language in terms of protection that you guys already have and incorporate it into the deed. But we can get rid of the reference and just physically write it. It's fine.
There might be another similar term.
Yeah. Well-
Because it could be very confusing.
I would say if you guys could get us a deed that worked for you,
Mhm.
then we can tailor our deed to kind of match that and take some of Mike's comments relative to not referencing a section, but putting the pertinent stuff in the deed.
Yeah, we could do that.
Then we can circulate another one back.
Anybody else? All right, so all I have is to have the conservation plaques at the edge of all the buffers, not just the edge of the vernal pools. Install the signs before construction begins, and recommend that the plans specify who is responsible for maintenance of the retention ponds. Good?
Good.
All right, thank
Great.
you.
Thanks. Appreciate the commission's time. And Marge, would you be getting us the deed or Mike?
It'd probably end up going through Mike, just for ease of contact.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Perfect.
Maybe it would be
Sure.
useful, could you send us a editable copy of this deed?
Yep, we have a Word document that we could email. I'll
Yeah.
maybe get it to Mike and he can circulate. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, next up is our maiden voyage of public comment, and there's no one here to comment.
What happened to Ann? Ann was here.
I was so excited, and then poof, gone. So, moving on to old business. We had talked about updating our bylaws last time, so now I have it all typed up nice and votable. Do you have it in here?
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay, if not, I have a couple printed copies that if you want to share, there's two this way, and you can pass that down if you want to look at that. I have one here.
Did you say it is on here, or is not?
That's LCC bylaws.
So what was
I was
changed,
in the wrong place.
what was changed was on page 4. It's under meetings of the commission, on section B.
Say that again, please.
Page 4,
Okay.
and then after letter B.
It's in red.
Oh, how convenient.
Not on my printed copies, though.
I'm finding that people are using grammar in very strange ways these days, but I consider the Conservation Commission of Londonderry to be a single entity, and it should be has adopted.
I agree.
Okay.
And I cringe most of the time when I read a lot of things.
So, in our discussion last time, I thought we left open a question of whether we needed to have a treasurer.
Oh, I never, I was gonna comment that when I did financials, but I can comment on it now.
Yeah.
We do not have a treasurer. We're supposed to have a secretary, a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary, and it doesn't really say must have a secretary, but I don't, we have
Well, I
a
think
different system.
we
but-
have staff doing the secretary position.
All
or-
right, yeah, I'm not arguing.
And I'm
with it.
just,
Responsibilities?
as far as I'm concerned, I'm just consider myself a member of the commission who's willing to follow
Lia-
this and report
liaise, yeah.
as regularly as I can.
Good.
And not call myself, and we haven't actually had an election for me for a couple of years anyway, so.
Yeah, I think we forgot to do that back in January.
You've been anointed and
Well, as other members of our
Yes,
executive group.
self-appointed.
So, no, we do not have a treasurer.
I mean, if we're not required to have one, then
No,
let's not.
no,
have
it's
one.
not in the
Right,
house.
let's not muddy the waters.
So,
So if you like these, we can have a motion to adopt them as amended.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Lucky for you, Tiffany didn't show up.
Second.
All right, any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? Motion pass. Then, up next is trail work. The same person who did the lovely bridge at the landing is expanding into some more of the trails. He's gonna do some work, maybe this weekend, but he estimates it's about $300 worth of wood that would be needed. So I'm gonna go with him to pick that up at Home Depot. Just need permission to spend the money.
I move we authorize the chair to spend no more than $300 or
Up to
up
300,
to
yeah.
$300 on lumber for trail work.
second.
From the,
Open space,
Or line item budget,
I was gonna say line item. but-
line item, okay. We can do that,
as he's suggesting.
all right.
Then we worry about, and I could not figure out what our budget really is. I don't,
It's like 3,200.
I know, but it didn't, they don't tell you that. They just take, use,
Yeah.
yeah.
So do we have a second?
I'll
Second.
second that.
Oh, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion pass. Some more trail work is also being done. Home Depot has their Team Depot, and they're working on doing some work, and they're planning to do a trail work day, August 29th. But this is gonna be separate, because the people that Fran can get to help him are not available on the 29th, so we'll have two teams going. Then on the Betty Mac Trail, there is a large tree that fell across the trail, and it's hanging at a steep angle. You can walk under it. It is an hour's walk in, and our fairy godmothers who usually take care of things, it's too big really for them to cut.
Yeah.
And I asked Dave Wally if maybe staff could go out there, but there's no way to get a vehicle, because you're going down some pretty skinny up and down trails to get there.
Right.
Then he suggested that I contact, a tree person, but I can't even see how a tree person is gonna be willing to walk an hour in there. So I'm kind of at a loss what to do about this tree, other than to just leave it there.
What's it near on Betty Mac?
It's not near anything, which is
I'm
the,
just trying to get a sense of where it might be.
So
I-
where it's coming down south and then about to turn east. I think
Is there a
that's the
picture?
most remote part.
I do have a picture, but let me just.
What
get-
about one of those off-road vehicles, the small ones?
Well, even that, it's very
Yeah, that part of the trail is like a footpath.
Yeah, I took my
Yeah,
grandson
but they're,
out
they're
there.
rather narrow.
The
And,
blue dot is where it is.
Well, she also told me, we were talking about this offline, she told me that,
Yeah.
Trying to get
that,
oriented.
the vehicle we own is
So you
a
go
one-person
past the-
vehicle.
this big
So you-
swamp.
Off-road, like one of the off-road
Power
vehicles.
Yeah, it's an
You can throw a
ATV.
Oh,
chainsaw.
near Chutes and Ladders, so
Well,
it's,
I-
Yes,
but
it's very
it's
close to
where,
Chutes
it's
and
where the
Ladders.
white trail.
I don't know what
comes in.
the process of using it
Okay.
for somebody else
So there's no
besides
easy way to
ranger
drive into
is,
there.
you know, Just
Well,
sending
if
somebody
you have
out.
a tree
No.
guy, you want, you can pay a lot of money.
Could you get to?
I
Oh, I
suspect-
know,
Chutes and
I know.
Ladders?
That's why I'd look at, yeah,
Part
you do
way,
have an,
maybe.
Yeah.
what, an off-road vehicle,
I mean,
all-terrain vehicle.
The closest,
it doesn't seem like it's imminent
Yeah,
failing. You can walk under it. I don't
so
know.
is it a stem with a, it's cracked?
It's it's a tree around this big
Yeah,
that fell over about 10 feet up.
yeah.
But when it fell over, you know how it kind of splinters into fingers and then bends over? So it's
Yeah.
all still significantly attached up high.
right.
So I don't feel like it's gonna blow down or, you know, I wouldn't call it a widowmaker, but it's just in a really
Yeah.
bad place that you can't get to. So, I don't know.
Has anyone reported it, like a hiker that feels it's dangerous or concerned?
No, well, Fran, the guy who's doing the trail work,
Mhm.
has scouted out a bunch of things, and this was one of them. And he tried to go at it, but his chainsaw wasn't big enough,
Yeah.
so,
Did he get a bigger one?
I don't know.
How does he get in there?
Walks. But it literally, it took me an hour to get there. Which, if you have lots of time, this is, you know, if we hired a tree guy, I think we'd get charged a pretty good chunk
yeah.
to take that
What
down.
about the, bike people?
This is the
bike
bike
clubs?
people.
Oh.
The bike people is who reported it to me.
Well, usually they have some resources.
I know, and I asked Trailways if they had the capacity to do anything, and they didn't. They said, call DPW.
It's about this big?
No, it's this big.
Oh, okay, about 24 inch maybe, or?
Maybe, yeah, at least.
big.
It's,
Yeah.
actually, should have showed you the picture of it, not just the map. There's the picture, you can pass that down if you want.
We could try, you know, sending somebody like, you know, Bartlett or one of these guys, just your picture and the map, and ask them for an estimate.
Well, he recommended Eric Turcott, which I
Yeah.
know Eric, he's a friend of my kids, so I can ask him and see, and just give him a warning about it's an hour in there.
Yeah, right.
Because you could get an ATV like to the landing, so about halfway in, and then only have to walk halfway.
Right.
Or, you know, he could get in part of the way and,
I mean, the trouble is, it's gonna be a really dangerous cut.
yeah, that's why I really, I don't want to ask our fairy godmothers to do it.
Well, you know, I think we can afford to do it, and if we have to.
All right, then
Because,
I'll reach out
yeah.
to Eric and,
Just, you know, just so we know what it could cost, and then we can make that decision. But
Yeah,
it
the-
sounds like it's something that's not good for public relations in that.
yeah, it looks, yeah.
Or, you know,
The nearest trailhead is Sarah Beth, and it's less than a mile from there, so it's, you can get to it in less than an hour.
Yeah.
If you go in Hickory Hill, it's an hour. But Sarah Beth isn't ATV friendly either.
Hmm.
You can walk it fine, but I wouldn't know, I don't think you could drive in from there.
Right. Speaking of Sarah Beth, I got an email from folks who said they did some clearing of the beginning of the trail at Sarah Beth. The
Yeah.
weed whack, it gotten overgrown really bad, and it's like, of course it did, because this is the summer of weeds.
Right.
You know, we had just weed weather all
Yeah.
summer. So I appreciate that they
Yeah, great.
went in there and trimmed that all out.
Sure.
And then another report I
Or
got
cut the whole
was
thing. Just
the
those
sign that
Italians.
indicates the highest point in the Musquash has gone missing. So
And it would just
I
fall
don't
out of
think
the
we
way of the
put that
trail.
up. I think Trailways might have done that, but I'm not positive, so I kind of have to do some espionage on that.
Is it on a trail or is it at the hilltop?
I think it was on the trail indicating that,
Oh, up this way,
yeah,
yeah.
so I don't know what happened there.
I think it's on a spur going over to the power line. I don't know that it's actually on the labeled trail.
Yeah, I can't remember. I would have to
I've
look
been,
at the
I've been
map.
up there, but I don't remember seeing a sign.
Yeah. I know I've seen it, I just
Okay.
can't remember where. So, yeah, a lot of stuff going on in the Musquash.
Did you know that Trailways is doing something Sunday at Adams Pond?
I did
I just
see
got
that.
something-
There
I
was,
was on Facebook.
Yeah, they're trying to
Yeah.
clear,
On
it's
Facebook.
choked off on both ends. I didn't realize that it even cleared. I mean, the last time I saw it, it was under 2 feet of water.
right, and we've had, challenges with the flooding. And I'm pretty sure Trailways is probably working with Dave Woolley, because we had a group meeting out there and kind of sizing up the situation and figuring out what to do about the flooding, because there's a culvert that's blocked. And I know Dave Woolley was looking into it, whether it's able to clear that culvert, or should we just trench and create a bridge over it?
Yeah, what they're talking about doing in the email I saw is they're simply,
brush clearing?
simply doing brush clearing
Yeah,
on both ends. And looked like it came from Mike Byerly, and I warned him that
Eh.
there isn't any parking anymore.
right,
And-
that's-
And he said, oh, yeah, no, there's parking from the Mammoth roadside. No, there's not. There's a,
And it's Old Home Day
right.
weekend too. I don't know what they thought that.
I don't know, but
So-
yeah,
I mean, you can get about 100 feet onto the property before you get to a barricade, but there's not a lot of shoulder there where you can park in the area that Andy created to park above the pond has
Right.
been blocked off for a couple of years.
Um,
So if it has dried so that they can actually get on that end of the trail, great. I quit trying.
yeah, yeah, I hear you.
And I got a message from the Facebook page about the potholes at Kendall Pond, and Jean went to look at it, and I had no idea what this guy was talking about, but I just said, we'll look at it, and
There are some
They
pretty good ditches in the parking area. I mean, you're not gonna get stuck in them, but
is it something that's fixable? Well, he was saying he walked his dog down there, so I don't know what he's worrying about, but maybe he drives
Well,
it. Drives
just
there.
trying to,
They're right at the,
Forewarned.
right at the entrance, as
That's
you
what I
pull in.
thought.
And that's the big problem, is people are flying in there,
Oh.
at full speed off of South Road. So when there is a little water there, they're splashing a lot of the stuff right out of that pothole, making it larger. And you get 5 feet in, and it's nice and perfectly smooth.
yes, the only part I'm aware of is the parking lot. The parking lot has some
Yeah.
pretty good
Is
holes
it
in it.
something that we should, I will get back to him, is it something we could tell him we might look at, or we don't really have the,
You'd have to get a truckload of gravel or something and spread it around. It's,
till the next time?
some hard.
well, I mean, it's all dirt, so you're not gonna prevent it happening again.
Yeah, yeah.
But you could fill the existing holes if you wanted to. I mean,
Mm.
if you're driving at 5 miles an hour, you can drive right through all of them. They're low spots. It's not
Not a pothole.
it's not a sharp-edged pothole.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Should we approach Dave Woolley and see if he?
Yeah, maybe if he could just dump some,
Dump a load of gravel and spread it around and probably solve it. There's probably 3 of them. And they're all 6, 7 feet across.
yeah. Right,
On the tree, I think there might be, depending where this tree is on Betty Mac, there's another access that may be a lot closer,
yeah, we could,
other than going through the landing.
right.
If it's on the east loop,
Well, David was
Yeah.
saying, or
there's
Bob
an
was
there's
saying
an
that,
access road.
that may be coming in through Sarah Broad.
That might be it. It
Through
could be
Sarah
a
Beth.
very short walk, depending whether, I'm not sure where the tree is, but
Oh,
Betty Mac is kind of a loop thing. If it's over towards that road, there's a little trail that,
how about Alexander Road?
that might be it, that might be it.
Yeah, that's all,
Well,
There's a-
we'll work on figuring out
that's all water and overgrown,
The-
now. Big tree
the-
fell on it.
shortest distance, and then,
Yeah.
once I have that figured out, then I'll contact
Mm.
the tree guy.
Actually, you can get pretty darn close to there from the power line on the Blue Trail. And that part of the Blue Trail used to be a farm road, so it's fairly wide.
All right. Do you think there's a Eversource gate? Although I-
There are no gates on that power line that I'm aware of.
Okay, I do have the key now, though, so I could use it. All right,
So, yeah, you'd have, you get on the power line over near the quarry. I don't think you get a big truck in there. You could certainly get an ATV in there without any
Okay.
trouble, but a big truck would be a problem.
apparently Eric has some track vehicle that can,
Yeah,
Get
something
in.
like that, a skid steer or something could do it easily.
all right,
But just to walk in and look at it, probably, Sarah Beth is the closest spot.
all right. Somebody make me a
If I have
map.
time, I'll try to get a look at it.
Make me a little map so I can tell them where it is. I think I mentioned it last time, we finally have our permit ready for the Musquash driveway. Only took 2 years. One of the conditions was that we need to collect seeds for the reed grass. And they are looking for us to give a timeline on when we will be doing that.
Oh,
Do you know
I
how to?
do not, I don't really do grasses very well. And I think that their guy could tell us, Matt. I mean, he's the one who did all the surveying
Yeah.
and so forth. You can look at, in some of the reference books, and it will give you a wide range.
It is a range.
And the problem is, with every summer being different, I would dare
Could
say
you
that
identify it if you saw it?
moi, I haven't studied it, but I probably could.
Okay, because I'm thinking, I know in my own garden, everything's about 2 weeks ahead.
I mean, I've got the books, I can do some research, but.
Because if we can go out and maybe give it a shot, and we might have to go out
More than,
more
oh,
than once to,
I did a violet in South Londonderry. Took me 2 years because the weather. But
Yeah.
I think we're okay for, I just don't know when it's, and I don't know how long the seeds stay viable either.
yeah,
It's
they
just-
have
it's
to
a-
be
it's-
winterized and.
I
And
don't
what
know any of
do
it.
we do with these seeds once?
Once they're done doing the construction, we have to replant the seeds in the area that was disturbed,
Distribute them.
so
Is that just scattering?
we're pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, we might have to cover them up a little bit
I don't think they get that
in nature,
in
yeah.
real life.
But to give them a little
Encouragement.
encouragement and keep the critters from eating them. So, I don't know if you can
I'm
look up
out
that.
of here I'm out of here the last week in August.
Okay. Well, I will see what I can find out.
I can definitely go to the books and just try and- I mean, it could be a bigger range, but then again, if you collect the seeds, and part of the flower head is fertile and part of it isn't.
You still get some.
I did this a couple times, and I've never volunteered for that job again.
Okay.
That's how much fun I've had
I
doing
just, it was, I think, costly to have them do it,
that. Probably.
which, right, we'll look into it. I'll see if we can,
I'll see if I can get some I know where to get the information, I just
Okay.
don't know how to use it necessarily.
all right.
One of the things I don't know how to handle there is that Eversource periodically clears all the brush under the power line.
Mhm.
And when they've done that, you can see the proposed parking area from the street. Right now, it's getting close to where you can't. And if you can't, it's gonna be a very attractive nuisance.
Right.
It's gonna be a high school drinking spot of epic proportions.
Yeah, we thought of that when we first were considering it.
I don't
That-
know if we have means to cut it down, or if we have to wait for Eversource to decide that it's time. They've done it twice in the last 6 or 7 years, so they do it periodically, but my impression is about half the time you can't see it from the street, about half the time you can.
Yeah, and my hope is that it's such an active area
Right.
that's gonna be unattractive just for that reason.
It won't be active at night.
There are a lot of houses there, though. I would assume if it was loud, all of the neighbors would
If,
hear
if
it.
it's loud,
If
the
it's
neighbors will
quiet,
know.
probably not, though.
Yeah,
Is this driveway gonna be, it's gonna go up to like to the kiosk up there?
there's
There's
a
a kiosk.
clearing that's,
Near
I
there.
know walking in the main entrance, you have a kiosk.
the kiosk is off to the side. If you, there's a big metal gate. If you,
Yeah, I think so, yeah, I
if
can see
that gate will be gone, and that's where the parking lot will be.
They created a small landing up there the last time they did some logging in the
Yeah, when they
area.
were doing the logging.
So it's near the kiosk.
So how many cars will that hold?
I'm not sure. It'll be 2 rows.
Probably 8 or 10, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
That should- Yeah, that'll help. I guess the neighbors complain a bit with the parking.
Yeah, and rightfully so. It gets out of hand sometimes. During COVID, it was insane.
The town has put up a lot of no parking
Yeah.
signs that didn't used to be there.
And it has helped.
Yeah.
But, you know,
And
and
it
the
hasn't been-
neighbors have been awesome. I mean, they've been very tolerant.
Yeah, and it has not been as busy.
Yeah.
During COVID, it was insane, but it's slowed down some.
Yeah. Any other old business?
I am working on a dock permit by notification.
Did that make sense, the instructions I got from him?
No, it didn't, but I'm doing it anyway.
'Cause
I
he-
mean, what Mike said was all we have to do is just change the dimensions on that plan, but that's, if you look at the requirements, it's a hell of a lot more than that.
Because he said that they were rejecting it because the dock was too big.
Right, but that doesn't mean that when, we said, it's a different format, right? So,
And he gave a new application document.
yeah, I know, and that's the one I'm working with.
Oh, because the dock was too big, and they didn't want us floating it in the wintertime.
Right, also, there was a comment in there that said that you have to meet all of the requirements. And there are 3 that we didn't meet, that we tried to explain why we,
Yeah.
I thought they'd cut us some slack, but, but now we're asking for a permit that's, allows 6-foot width, and that will fit.
Mm-hmm.
But we just gotta, you have to submit a plan that has about 12 things that have to be on that plan, so I've gotta make that plan. And it's not gonna look like, an engineer did it. It's gonna be
Yeah,
a cut and paste and hope that they'll take that.
yeah, this
And
is
we're-
getting
and
very.
we're wagering $400, which you probably ought to appropriate.
Okay,
so that
that's
we're
the
ready to do it.
application fee?
Yes,
Did we already pay for the first application?
that was free,
Okay, because that's what he was saying. If we paid for that first application,
right,
we should lobby to have this just be a substitute for that.
right, but we didn't, we don't have any money in it yet, but we're gonna have to put money in it, so,
All right. So we should be prepared for that.
yeah, well, and if you, we should probably authorize it tonight, so you don't have to get the money after you've spent it.
Yeah, so it's 400?
Yep, so I would move that we appropriate $400 from the open space fund, I guess,
Okay,
for the purpose of paying the application fee for a dock permit by notification.
Seconded.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, sounds good. And while we're voting, we have what I believe is the last Stantec bill for $85.
I move we authorize the chair to pay the Stantec bill for $85 from the Open Space Protection Fund.
I'll second that one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passed.
So they've told you that that's it?
He said, because I said, you know, how much more, and he says that should be it. And that's when he mentioned that the next thing that needs to be done is collecting the seeds, and we had told him that we would do that.
Okay.
So we'll just figure that out. New business.
I still have treasurer's
Oh.
report, but unless you worry, I'll go wherever you want me to go.
Okay, new business for me is
Finance.
just quick. We're looking for articles for the newspaper. We kind of stopped doing that for a while. And the one that was specifically asked for was on dog poop. That, what people should be doing with dog poop on the trail, what does it do? You know,
Why is it bad?
why is it bad? And anything you were afraid to ask about dog poop. So, anybody feel like,
I would love to, right now, I can't see my way clear to do it, but I would love to research that. That would be really fun.
I think it would be a great article, but,
If you can wait until September, I can.
yeah, I think we can do that.
I think, there was, I think it was the Chesapeake Bay area. They had a course on that, I think.
Of course,
And I
on
may,
dog poop.
well, yeah, it's because it's, well,
Yeah, I'm
it
sure
depends
it
on how many
is.
dogs are using an area. If
Right.
it's not many, if it's a lot, it's a mess. I may have some information on that.
Okay, if you find it,
Yeah, I'll
feel
check it
free to
online.
share. But that doesn't have to be the only article. Even if you can think of an idea, maybe somebody else can write the article. But if we can get those flowing again, I'm sure everybody would be
I
happy
came
with
across
that.
the one I wrote on lawns, and it all still holds true.
Mm.
Yeah, we could republish that every summer.
Yeah.
I know we had a blip into drought conditions there
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago. I think we blipped out of them, but
Let's have AI do it.
yes.
Okay.
That's all I have for new.
Basically, we spent $2,326 out of our general fund budget, which means we left some behind.
Uh-oh.
Left some on the table, but.
Wow, and we thought we were going over with the
Well,
last one.
I don't know, I was watching it, and, anyway, but that's that. And it's on here, I thought it was on here, but maybe it's not.
The trail maps?
No, the
Treasurer's report.
treasurer's report,
Oh.
or the
It's here.
finance report.
It's under materials.
I think it is on there.
Okay, oh, materials, okay. And then essentially, our Habitat account is up to $102,000. And we just, we got a little bit from a timber sale last summer, and basically it's interest, and the new banking arrangement is bringing us lots more interest, which is a good
Great.
thing. So we have plenty of money there. Should somebody, the powers that be, decide we need to start working on
Well,
Habitat
I've been
again.
thinking about that it's a shame that we started this habitat and knowing that it was gonna need maintenance, and just because the bunnies didn't come, or
Right.
doesn't mean we should abandon the project.
No, because there's birds
Because
that
they're-
benefit from
The
that
birds
habitat,
that
too.
showed up after we did that cut have been just,
And
amazing.
I'm trying to remember what they really suggested for us, and I think it was like 5 to 7 years to
Yeah,
do it.
and
And so
it
we're
would
probably
be-
coming up on it.
so I would think, is it Fish and Game who would give us the recommendation, or would it be Charlie?
I would go to Fish and Game
Yeah, go
first.
fishing game.
And because
But-
as soon as we started talking about something earlier tonight, I said, well, I haven't heard anything from Charlie.
I know, that's why I said. So, the only thing is, that, you know, I have tried to contact Fish and Game previously about a bunny update. I'll try again, but I didn't get a response. I know they're strapped for staff, but apparently they've hired some people because there's a Fish and Game officer that's working with Glenn around here now. He's assigned to our area, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's not the right part of Fish and Game to ask about this, but he might have some connections.
Want me to walk something over there?
Yeah, right, I know.
Right there.
If, yeah, I mean,
Fish and Game is a parcel of land right next to Musquash.
They do have one, yes,
Yeah,
they
it's pretty
do.
large. It comes in from, they have a
Preserve,
Preserve Drive, is it?
yep, yep. That's the
It's
Mathis property.
Hmm?
That's what we call the Mathis.
Mathis, okay, yeah.
And it's
I've
the
been in
Mathis
there.
Trail too.
Yeah.
Are they, have they stocked any rabbits in there or anything?
No, nope, that
Is there a
wasn't even,
reason? It's just, oh, they're waiting for a few more years?
no,
No,
that,
that's-
that section was not
Oh,
rabbit habitat. It was up north in the Musquash that we created rabbit habitat. But the last I heard is that the project was not being very successful, so they they stopped really promoting it. One of the things that's happening is that the eastern cottontails are crossbreeding with the New England,
They are,
which they didn't think was happening, but they found evidence that they are in fact crossing, which is disappointing, because even if we brought in a colony of New Englands, they would eventually be, you know, crossbred
Dating.
yeah.
to extinction. So I'll see if I can get somebody from Fish and Game.
So I want to just tell you about our final number for 6/30/24, which is the end of the fiscal year. And that's on the very last page of this. Is really actually, we still had money coming in July because of the way they do things. But our grand total as of 7/11/24 is $675,852.38. And we netted $425,544.09 from land use change tax. So that was a big
Nice.
increase over the, 4 or 5 years ago, there wasn't really very much going on at all. So with development, we're getting it back. So that's just, I don't know if I've forgotten what we've got thinking about in the backs of our minds, but we could do something if we had, grants and other
Could find
other
some-
things.
Somebody who wanted to sell to us.
Yeah, as a project,
Which,
but,
yeah. Well, we'll see.
so that's it.
Anything on an intern that email came around?
Well, I sent you, I think I copied you. I sent an email
Yeah.
back to, what's her name at NHAC, and
Asking what was our topics?
Yeah, well, what were the skills?
Yeah.
I gave a broad list of things that we could do, but would have to be matched to the skills of the intern, and I never heard back from her,
Huh.
so.
Who was this, where was this from?
Barbara,
Oh, okay,
so,
so I missed that, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh
it's
well.
kinda late for interns now, right?
Yeah, probably.
Other than the minutes, that's all I have, I think, yeah. Anybody have anything?
I got a question. If you take a workshop, let's say with a conservation, the New Hampshire Conservation Association, is there a reimbursement mechanism at all?
Sometimes.
Sometimes,
If you'd be invited to go to our annual meeting the first time, and you would be eligible for this, when the commission pays for that for the first time. And,
the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions has an annual
Yeah,
event
I know.
where they have seminars and whatnot, and we'll pay for that, because one of the classes that they offer is Introduction to Conservation, and they give you a manual, and,
highly recommend you go.
yeah, that's a good one.
First Saturday in November. Other than that, not really, because, we have our Open Space Protection Fund. This Habitat one is an old one that we've had for a while, and our line item budget is very small. And we used to always budget in for this very purpose, and we do it, but I'm not sure whether we've sent anybody or,
Yeah, did you find something of interest? A
Well,
class?
it'd be maybe the November one, I'd probably go anyway.
Yeah, because I think it was Southern New Hampshire Planning years ago had a really good class on reading plans, which was, yeah, was very beneficial, and it was like something that I think people should take, because,
Mhm.
that's what we do.
Yeah, yeah.
we
no,
look at those plans and to be able to break it down.
And actually, DES used to do freebies, and we would do, actually would do things with, we did Litchfield, coordinated meetings with Litchfield. We did a lot of stuff back in the day. I mean, back when the Wetlands Bureau wasn't the Wetlands Bureau.
Mhm.
I don't remember too far back. But it's not much, there's not much going, though I think, pay attention up at DES. I think there is stuff going on, particularly with the new rules. They've had open sessions on that. And the rules are changing so fast these days that,
Well, Cooperative Extension offers stuff too, and they'll do it under their side thing that they call nature groupies. They'll offer a lot of,
Oh, yeah, no, familiar with that.
yeah, classes.
And online, you can get, education, fishing,
Yeah.
game.
Yep,
yeah.
looking at minutes.
Mike offered that he doesn't have any changes, and I don't either.
All right,
I didn't see anything. I make a motion that we approve the minutes of July 23rd as presented.
Second?
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Motion pass.
I guess I'll have to make another motion that we adjourn.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.